Hey, nice Atypical Daydream t-shirt.
Thanks. It's my favorite podcast.
Mine too. But where can I get a t-shirt?
It's easy. The link is in the show notes.
That is easy. I'm gonna go get one right now.
That's a great idea.
Thanks. Bye.
You bet. Stay cool.
And I could just feel, not hostile, but protective, this envelope, just closing in, this ring of people closing in around me. Kind of like, who is this guy?
Hello, my atypical daydreamers. Welcome to the podcast. My guest today is Benjamin Hill. He's a writer who covers the business and culture of minor league baseball. Now, to be honest, I'm not much of a sports guy, but I do love the stories about the players, the teams, and the stadiums. And of all the American sports, baseball has some of the richest lore and culture. Ben's ongoing journey across the U.S. has become a patchwork portrait of America, all seen through the lens of minor league baseball.
I have been traveling across America, minor league ballparks, covering the business and culture of minor league baseball, for 20 years now, 15 years of doing the road trips. I've been to 189 ballparks now, well over 300 ballpark visits. I should tally up the exact number, but it's about 365. I'd like to say I've spent over a year of my life on the road. And it's a job that had never existed before, a job that I didn't really have an idea I could do until it evolved over years, going from writing game recaps to then coming in during the day in the off season, learning about the minor league baseball industry through stories I was assigned to write, and being more attracted to, the promotions that teams are doing and how they were operating. I got asked to write a weekly promo column one of the editors at the site was doing, and he didn't really care about. That was just perfect for me because I could make jokes about the goofy minor league promotions that were happening, and I wasn't just doing a straight game recap. So that's really what opened the door to what I do now, is covering promotions. And then I realized that people in the industry were reading my column because no one had ever covered the minor league baseball industry in real time. And because teams don't compete with one another, they're always interested in sharing ideas. Every minor league baseball team was a unique and a reflection of its own community. And therefore these, at the time, 160 teams together were a reflection of America writ large. This wasn't some grand thesis statement that just came to me. It was just something that developed over years. 2009, I was 30 years old, divorced, and still part-time when the year started, and just thinking yeah, this is something cool. I tried to make it work, but I'm living with a roommate, a college friend of mine. I retained custody of 2 cats in my divorce, and then my new roommate has 2 more cats. Yeah, I'm just a 30-year-old single dude living with another guy and 4 cats and getting paid part-time to write about minor league baseball and barely hanging on. And at some point during the 2009 season, it was just, I was offered a full-time job. I wasn't expecting it at that point. I was okay. In a weird way, I didn't feel super happy as much as just I don't know. Now that it worked out, it made me feel almost skeptical. But I of course, I wanted to accept it and do it. But then that led to the question of all right, I have a full-time job writing about minor league baseball. And at that time, I'd only been to maybe 5 or 6 minor league ballparks. And so my whole thing going into my first full-time season in 2010 is that I want to visit minor league ballparks. Of course I can write about them, but also just for my own knowledge as someone who's covering this industry full-time, I need to kind of know more of the people, know the ballparks, have an understanding of it. I wanted to make my ballpark visits, around a good event or occasion, something that would have a little oomph behind it. And during that 2009-2010 offseason, I learned and wrote about a team called the Mobile Bay Bears in Mobile, Alabama, who are no longer around. They relocated to today's Rocket City Trash Pandas? Yes, in Madison, Alabama, close to Huntsville. But the Mobile Bay Bears played at Hank Aaron Stadium, named after native son Hank Aaron. And during that 2009-2010 offseason, they announced an initiative that they were going to move Hank Aaron's childhood home that he grew up in, a very modest, small, one-story, white frame wooden house, to the grounds of the ballpark and refurbish it and open it as the Hank Aaron Childhood Home and Museum. And so I got approval to go cover that. So not only were they opening Hank Aaron's childhood home as a museum on the grounds of the stadium, Hank Aaron would be there. And not only that, they had this like massive guest list of Hall of Famers. Willie Mays, Bob Feller, Rickey Henderson, Bruce Sutter, Reggie Jackson, Ozzie Smith, as well as then MLB Commissioner Bud Selig. I put myself in a situation now where not only am I trying to develop a template for covering minor league baseball on location at different ballparks, but now I'm at this premier event with all these Hall of Famers. Minor league baseball is very different right now. Talking in the year 2025, MLB has fully taken over and runs minor league baseball. But up through 2020, minor league baseball and Major League Baseball were separate entities with a working agreement, regarding the number of teams. And there was 160 teams at that time. Now there's 120. So today, if there was an event similar to the opening of the Hank Aaron Childhood Home and Museum at a minor league ballpark with this illustrious roster of Hall of Famers, MLB would be in on the jump in planning it, promoting it, being involved with it. But 15 years ago, it feels like it might as well have been 50 years ago or 100 years ago. It was just a thing that a minor league team did, and there wasn't much awareness within Major League Baseball writ large that this was happening. And I've never done this before. I don't even have a smartphone yet. I don't have a GPS yet. I have printed out MapQuest directions. I have a flip phone and a flip camera, which was this little rectangular camera that no matter how steady you tried to hold it, the footage would just shake, up and down. So I get there, and I remember the night before trying to contact the Mobile Bay Bears, broadcaster media relations director, Wayne Randazzo, who is now does play-by-play for the New York Mets. And I remember I'm trying to get as much information as I can. I just show up the next day, and it's just a mob scene, almost of all local media. And me as the one national writer.
Hey, it's Josh. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. And if so, are you wanting more road stories? Well, good news. I've got you covered. Consider becoming a patron. You'll have access to loads of great bonus stories that there just wasn't time for. And you'll be supporting a truly independent podcast. Find the link in the show notes. And thanks. Now back to the show.
All these Hall of Famers are just milling about. And I interview Bob Feller, pitched for Cleveland. At this point, 70 years ago, he has passed away. And I'm just interviewing on my flip cam. And I think I had that video on YouTube somewhere. Rickey Henderson, who I loved as a kid, I was on the same flight as him leaving the following day or 2 days later. And I was like, Rickey Henderson's on my plane. I talked to him. Reggie Jackson pulled off the most Reggie Jackson type maneuver. Everyone else I talked to was very friendly. He put his hand over my flip cam and slowly pushed my hand down like, I'm not talking to you, kid. And in a way, I was like, are you kidding me, Reggie Jackson? I'm not some hearted member of the New York tabloid media coming after you went 0 for 4. I'm just some young writer trying to talk to you about Hank Aaron. So I was just grabbing all these interviews with Hall of Famers all over the place, not knowing really what I'd do with it. as well as videotaping the ceremony itself, where Hank Aaron's standing on the porch of his childhood home saying he said it was like the greatest day of his life. I don't know if he was a little swept up in the moment, but I remember thinking, like, I'm not going to tell you, Hank Aaron, what the greatest day of your life is, but it seems like, I don't know, maybe setting the all-time Major League home run record might be a little better than this. He was really overcome. I mean, just literally walking through his childhood home, and the team had filled it with all sorts of memorabilia related to his career, as well as period, furnishings similar to what he would have grown up in with his siblings. He had family members there. Fortunately, the team was pretty helpful to me in knowing who I was and helping facilitate me getting in areas where other people weren't allowed to go, and kind of respecting me as like, oh, here's the national guy. I'm just thinking like I'm doing this for the first time, but suddenly I was like the lone national writer. And because of that, my job usually was a niche within a niche. Like, I'm a Major League Baseball employee, but A, I'm covering minor league baseball, and then B, I'm not even covering like the prospects of the games. I'm covering how the industry operates. So I was usually very distant in regards my relationship to the rest of the company editorially. But at some point, probably through my boss to her boss, I don't remember, it did get up further up the ranks that, hey, we have this guy at this event, and I'm just trying to do the best job I can. And so the one upper level directive I got, I don't remember what this controversy was or anything, but Hank Aaron was there and they were being very protective of him. Like, he gave his speech, but he didn't have much media availability, and it was like, just don't go up and just start talking to Hank Aaron. But I got a directive from who knows how many levels above me in the company that there was some controversial comment that a player named Orlando Hudson had made. And I should look it up. I can't remember what it was. But it was like, if Ben is in Mobile near Hank Aaron, we need to get Hank Aaron's reaction to what Orlando Hudson said. And I'm just like, oh no. Like, I'm just trying to like not mess up here. No one is allowed to really talk to Hank Aaron, but I'm also feeling like if this is coming from like upper level people, I need to say I tried. So I walk into this private room where it's like Hank Aaron is like friends and family, and I go up to him and I'm like, excuse me, Mr. Aaron. So Orlando Hudson said this. It was something about, I don't know if it was about this Black players in the game at that time or something. It was something relevant to what Hank Aaron, I guess, could have spoken on. And I could just feel, not hostile, but protective, this like envelope, like just closing in, this ring of people closing in around me, kind of like, who is this guy? Like, trying to talk like about something that has nothing to do with the opening of the museum. And I could just feel that energy around me, and Hank's kind of looking at me like, who is this guy? And I was just like, sorry, and like ran out of the room. And I was just like, oh man. Yeah, never again. Like, that was not the right time to do that. Like, I don't begrudge anyone for asking me, but I don't think they knew the context of like this event, or why asking some question related to some totally forgotten controversial comment of the day. This was not the place. But I just remember feeling throughout the night so stressed about everything like that. Like, I need to talk to these Hall of Famers. I need to get all these quotes. And then like being up in my hotel room until 3, 4 in the morning, and Mobile, never been in the city of Mobile, and the air felt like hot and thick, and there was that kind of like almost supernatural feeling to it that reminded me of New Orleans a little bit, but very small sample size. It felt a little more menacing to me in Mobile, and I was just trying to get my bearings and get back to the hotel and figure things out. And I spent all night writing an article about my night at the Hank Aaron Museum, threw in some quotes from the Hall of Famers. Now I look back on it and I'm like, where are those interviews? Where's my interview with Rickey Henderson? Where's my interview? I think I can find the Bob Feller one, as I mentioned. Ozzie Smith, I think I talked to him. I mean, just a ridiculous amount of people. I've been working now 15 years traveling all over the place, and I've never been around so many Hall of Famers at one time. And the fact that it was like my first visit ever just made it all the more memorable. And it must have worked, though, because that kicked it off. The next month, I was on the road again. I think I went to the Rickwood Classic in Birmingham, a ballpark that opened in 1910 that was hosted one game a season of the Birmingham Barons, and I went to the 100th anniversary of the Rickwood Classic that year. I went to the last game at Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, and some other just random ones I threw in that were kind of close to these more event destinations. But I pulled it off, and the fact that I'm here 15 years later still doing it, I think a lot of it can be traced back to making my way through that night in Mobile, Alabama in 2010. And I've left such a huge trail behind in terms of all my travels, all the articles and blog posts, and now newsletter recaps and social media, especially Twitter through a lot of years, podcast segments, blah, blah, blah. But one thing I haven't really done, and I do it on occasion, but then I'm just so tired on the road I don't do it, is I don't really write just about my day or the little things that don't make them into stories. And doing this right now, I just wish I had some voice memo or journal entry from April 2010 where I just really went through the nuts and bolts of navigating that night and the particular stresses. 15 years later, I'm like, you got to start doing that. You got to start telling the story behind the story. It might be good for, the book you have to write someday. But then also when I'm on the road, I'm just like, oh, that's just one more thing. You think I want to sit down and write some more? You think I want to sit here and talk into my phone for a while longer? It's like, I want to go to bed, or I want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings at 11:30 at night and get some wings and watch some really bad TV. And call it a night. That's about it.
I want to thank Ben for sharing his experience. Be sure to check out his newsletter, Baseball Traveler, his podcasts, Show Before the Show, and find him on X and Instagram. All links in the show notes. Do you know anyone who loves baseball? Well, text them this episode. It's a no-brainer. This podcast is created and produced by me, Josh Caldwell. Music by Visual Aid, my side music project. General support and copywriting by Miranda Caldwell. Thank you for listening, and I hope you come back next time.